Life brings storms to shape us, not to break us. Think of the mighty oak tree, standing tall after centuries of weathering fierce winds and brutal storms. Each challenge it faced didn't weaken it. Instead, those very challenges forced its roots to grow deeper, its trunk to grow stronger, and its branches to become more flexible. You see, nature teaches us an unchangeable truth. Strength isn't given, it's earned through resistance. Steel becomes unbreakable only when it faces the intensity of the forge. The same flames that could destroy it are precisely what give it its strength. The tremendous heat, the relentless hammering, these aren't acts of destruction, but of transformation. What emerges isn't just metal anymore. It's something far more valuable, far more durable. You're no different from that steel in the forge right now. The heat of your current challenges, the hammer blows of life's setbacks. These aren't meant to break you. They're the very forces creating something extraordinary within you. Every obstacle, every moment of doubt, every setback is part of your forging process. I want to tell you something remarkable about your mind. Right now, at this very moment, you possess more power than you realize. The struggles you face aren't your enemies, they're your teachers. Every pressure point, every strain, every moment of resistance is shaping you, strengthening you, preparing you for something greater. A diamond. Before it becomes the precious stone we admire, it must endure unimaginable pressure deep within the earth. Without that pressure, it would remain ordinary carbon, unremarkable and common. It's the very pressure that most would avoid that transforms it into something extraordinary. Your mind and character are being shaped in exactly the same way. These aren't just pleasant thoughts or comfortable ideas. This is the unchangeable law of growth through resistance. The same law that governs the formation of diamonds, the strengthening of steel, and the growth of mighty oaks is at work in your life right now. Consider the story of Thomas Edison. After his laboratory burned to the ground in 1914, destroying years of work and invaluable records, he said, "Thank goodness all our mistakes were burned up. Now we can start fresh again." The next morning he began rebuilding. Within 3 weeks his factory was partially back in operation. Edison knew something vital. What appeared to be a catastrophe was actually an opportunity for renewal. When we look at nature, everything valuable comes through resistance. Gold must be refined by fire. Pearls form when an oyster responds to irritation. Mountains rise through the clash of tectonic forces. These aren't random events. They're demonstrations of a universal principle. Strength and value emerge through confronting resistance. Take Helen Keller, born both deaf and blind in a time when such conditions meant almost certain isolation. Instead of succumbing to these seemingly insurmountable obstacles, she learned to read, write, and speak. She graduated college with honors and became an author and political activist. Her story shows us that our limitations often become our greatest teachers. Scientists have discovered something fascinating about ecosystems in controlled environments. In Biosphere 2, trees grown without natural wind force grew quickly but fell over before reaching maturity. They lacked the stress wood that develops in response to wind resistance. The very force that appeared to be fighting against the trees was actually essential for their survival. Consider the story of Colonel Sanders. At age 65, after receiving his first Social Security check, he took his chicken recipe and began knocking on doors. He heard no 1,009 times before getting his first yes. The constant rejection didn't break him, it refined his approach. His persistence through adversity built Kentucky Fried Chicken into a global enterprise. The human body itself demonstrates this principle. When astronauts spend time in zero gravity, their muscles weaken and their bones become brittle. Why? Because without the resistance of gravity, our bodies begin to deteriorate. We're designed to need resistance for growth and maintenance of strength. Look at the story of Walt Disney, who was fired from a newspaper for lacking imagination and having no original ideas. He went on to face multiple business failures and bankruptcies. Each setback taught him valuable lessons that contributed to building one of the most creative and successful entertainment companies in history. In agriculture, we see that plants grown in perfect conditions, protected from all stress, actually become weak and unable to survive in natural conditions. It's the plants that face and adapt to stress that develop robust immune systems and strong roots. This same principle applies to human resilience. The great inventor Alexander Graham Bell faced countless failures before creating the telephone. His work was motivated by a deeply personal connection to hearing impairment. Both his mother and wife were deaf. What others might have seen as a family tragedy became the driving force behind innovations that changed human communication forever. Scientists studying human psychology have found that people who face and overcome moderate adversity in life develop better problem-solving skills, stronger emotional regulation, and greater empathy than those who face either no adversity or overwhelming adversity. This sweet spot of challenge promotes optimal growth. Consider the metamorphosis of a butterfly. Inside the chrysalis, the caterpillar literally dissolves itself and rebuilds from scratch. This process of complete breakdown is essential for its transformation. Without this period of intense change and apparent destruction, no butterfly would ever emerge. Even in modern technology, we see this principle at work. The development of vaccines relies on exposing our immune system to controlled adversity. The temporary discomfort of the vaccine creates protection against more serious threats. Our immune system actually becomes stronger through carefully confronting weakness. The story of Beethoven powerfully illustrates this truth. As his hearing deteriorated, instead of giving up his music, he learned to feel the vibrations of his piano through the floor. He composed some of his most magnificent works, including the Ninth Symphony, while completely deaf. His limitations forced him to find new ways to create. These aren't isolated examples. They're manifestations of a natural law as reliable as gravity. Just as physical muscles must tear to grow stronger, our mental and emotional capabilities must face resistance to develop. The key isn't to avoid adversity, but to understand its role in our development. Nature shows us this truth everywhere we look. The lobster must feel the discomfort of a too tight shell before it can grow larger. The sword must endure the blacksmith's hammer before it becomes sharp and strong. The diamond must face intense pressure before it reveals its brilliance. These aren't just poetic analogies. They're demonstrations of the universal principle that strength comes through overcoming resistance. Hard times are like a blacksmith's hammer, and your mind is like metal. Each strike of the hammer might seem harsh, but it's precisely these strikes that transform ordinary metal into something extraordinary. The same principle applies to your mental strength. Every challenge you overcome rewires your brain, making you more resilient, more capable, and more prepared for whatever comes next. Your brain has an extraordinary ability to adapt and grow stronger through adversity. Scientists call this neuroplasticity, but I call it nature's gift to the determined. Every time you push through a difficult situation, your brain creates new neural pathways. It's like building mental muscles. The more you exercise them, the stronger they become. When you face a problem and work through it, you're not just solving that specific issue. You're building a stronger, more adaptable mind. Take the example of learning to drive a car. Remember how overwhelming it felt at first? Everything demanded your conscious attention. The gear shifts, the mirrors, the pedals, the road signs. But with practice, these actions became automatic. Your brain adapted, created new neural pathways, and transformed what was once stressful into something natural. This same process happens with every challenge you face. A student struggling with a difficult math problem, the frustration, the temptation to quit, the moments of confusion, these aren't signs of failure. They're signs of the brain building new connections, strengthening its problem-solving capabilities. Each attempt, even the unsuccessful ones, shapes the brain's architecture, making it stronger and more efficient. When you face a challenging situation at work, your brain goes through a remarkable transformation. The stress you feel isn't your enemy. It's a signal that your brain is gearing up for growth. The anxiety before a presentation, the pressure of a tight deadline, the complexity of a difficult project. These challenges force your brain to adapt, to find new solutions, to become more resilient. Consider how a musician develops skill. The initial frustration of learning an instrument, the countless hours of practice, the repeated failures, these aren't just steps toward mastery. They're actively reshaping the brain, creating stronger connections, enhancing coordination, and building neural pathways that will last a lifetime. Your response to daily challenges works the same way. Every time you step out of your comfort zone, your brain responds by becoming more adaptable. When you learn a new skill, tackle a difficult conversation, or face a fear, you're not just accomplishing a task, you're literally rebuilding your brain to be stronger. This is why avoiding challenges actually weakens us, while facing them makes us more capable. How you handle criticism. Initially, it might feel painful, personal, overwhelming. But as you learn to process it constructively, to extract the valuable feedback while discarding the rest, you're building psychological resilience. Your brain is learning to respond rather than react, to analyze rather than personalize. This transformation doesn't happen despite the discomfort, it happens because of it. The process of building mental strength isn't different from building physical strength. Just as a muscle needs resistance to grow, your mind needs challenges to develop. When you face a problem that seems beyond your current abilities, your brain responds by creating new capabilities. The strain, the struggle, the temporary confusion, these are all signs of growth in progress. Look at how people adapt to major life changes, moving to a new city, starting a new career, becoming a parent. The initial period is often overwhelming, filled with uncertainty and self-doubt. But through facing these challenges daily, the brain adapts. New neural pathways form, new coping mechanisms develop, and what once seemed impossible becomes manageable, even natural. Your brain's ability to adapt isn't limited by age or circumstances. Every time you push through procrastination to complete a task, resist an unhealthy temptation, or maintain focus despite distractions, you're strengthening your mental capabilities. These small victories might seem insignificant, but they're actually rewiring your brain for greater strength and resilience. Consider how you handle stress today compared to a year ago. The situations that once seemed overwhelming might now feel manageable. This isn't just experience. It's evidence of your brain's transformation through challenges. Each obstacle you faced has contributed to building a more resilient mind. The key to this transformation lies in consistent exposure to challenges. When you regularly face and overcome difficulties, your brain learns to approach problems with confidence rather than fear. The obstacles that once seemed like walls become stepping stones. Your mind develops a solution-focused approach rather than getting stuck in problem-focused thinking. This mental transformation shows itself in practical ways. The ability to stay calm under pressure, to find creative solutions to problems, to bounce back from setbacks, these aren't innate talents but learned skills. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to strengthen these capabilities. Learning a new language. The initial confusion, the embarrassment of making mistakes, the struggle to form sentences. These challenges aren't obstacles to learning. They're essential parts of the process. Your brain needs this struggle to build new neural pathways and develop true fluency. The same principle applies to emotional resilience. When you face disappointment, loss, or failure, your brain isn't just experiencing these emotions. It's learning how to process them more effectively. Each difficult experience, when approached with the right mindset, builds greater emotional strength and wisdom. Your brain's response to challenge is like a muscle's response to exercise. The initial discomfort isn't a sign to stop. It's a sign that growth is happening. Just as an athlete must push through physical discomfort to build strength, you must push through mental challenges to build psychological resilience. Remember, this transformation isn't about becoming hardened or insensitive. It's about becoming more capable, more adaptable, and more resilient. The challenges you face today are building a stronger foundation for your future growth. Every obstacle overcome, every problem solved, every fear faced is contributing to your mental strength. Pressure creates diamonds, not comfort, not ease pressure. In the depths of the earth, carbon undergoes immense pressure for years before it transforms into something precious. Your mind works the same way. The pressure of difficult times, the weight of challenges, these forces don't exist to crush you, they exist to transform you. I've seen countless individuals transform their lives by understanding this simple truth. Take Sarah, a small business owner who lost everything in the recession. Instead of giving up, she used that time to learn new skills, reinvent her business model, and eventually built something twice as successful as before. The hardship didn't break her. It revealed her true capabilities. The unexpected gift of struggle is that it strips away everything that's not essential. It's like a sculptor removing excess marble to reveal the masterpiece within. During comfortable times, we often carry unnecessary baggage, false beliefs about our limitations, dependencies we don't need, habits that hold us back. Hard times force us to eliminate these, leaving us stronger, more focused, and more authentic. Consider Mark, a corporate executive who got laid off after 20 years with the same company. Initially, it felt like his world had ended. But this forced change led him to start the business he'd always dreamed about but never had the courage to pursue. The security of his old job had actually been a comfortable prison, and losing it became his liberation. Hard times have a way of revealing our hidden strengths. People often discover abilities they never knew they had when faced with adversity. A single mother who thinks she can't handle one more challenge suddenly finds the strength to start a new career while raising her children. A student who believes they're not smart enough pushes through difficult coursework and discovers an untapped reservoir of intelligence and determination. The character development that occurs during struggles can't be replicated in times of ease. Think of it like tempering steel. The process requires both heat and cooling. The alternating pressure of difficult times, followed by periods of reflection and recovery, creates something stronger than either element could produce alone. I remember David, a young athlete who suffered a career-ending injury. The initial devastation was overwhelming, but through this struggle he discovered his true calling as a physical therapist. His personal experience with injury and recovery gave him insights and empathy that he could never have developed otherwise. His struggle became his gift to others. One of the most powerful hidden benefits of difficult times is the development of genuine empathy. When you face your own struggles, you develop a deeper understanding of others' challenges. This isn't just about being nice, it's about developing real wisdom and the ability to connect with others on a profound level. Take Jennifer, who battled severe anxiety for years. While it was incredibly challenging, she used her experience to create support groups for others facing similar challenges. Her struggle gave her insights that no amount of theoretical knowledge could provide. The very thing that seemed like her greatest weakness became her greatest strength in helping others. Hard times also teach us resourcefulness and creativity. When the usual paths are blocked, we're forced to find new ways forward. This skill, the ability to adapt and find alternative solutions, becomes invaluable in all areas of life. It's like developing a mental toolkit that serves you long after the initial challenge has passed. Consider Michael, who grew up in poverty. The daily struggle to make ends meet taught him financial creativity and resourcefulness that later made him an exceptional entrepreneur. His background, which many would see as a disadvantage, gave him insights into efficiency and innovation that his competitors lacked. The struggle itself becomes a teacher of patience and persistence. These aren't just virtues, they're practical skills that determine success in any field. When you've weathered serious challenges, you develop a kind of emotional stamina that can't be gained any other way. Look at Maria, an immigrant who came to this country without speaking the language. Every day was a struggle, but each challenge she faced, from learning the language to navigating cultural differences, built in her a resilience that later helped her become a successful business owner. The very obstacles that seemed to block her path were actually paving it. Sometimes the greatest gift of struggle is that it forces us to question our assumptions and break free from limiting beliefs. When everything's going well, it's easy to stay in our comfort zones. But when challenges push us to our limits, we often discover that those limits were self-imposed. I've watched people transform their greatest setbacks into their greatest comebacks. A writer who got rejected by dozens of publishers used the feedback to refine his craft and eventually wrote a bestseller. A businessman who went bankrupt learned lessons about finance and human nature that led to creating a much more sustainable and successful enterprise. The hidden gift in struggle is that it forces us to grow in ways we would never choose voluntarily. Just as a seed must break open for a plant to grow, sometimes our old ways of thinking and being must break open for something new and stronger to emerge. Remember Thomas, who lost his job during a recession. Initially, it seemed like the worst thing that could happen. But this forced change led him to reevaluate his life's direction. He discovered that his true passion lay in teaching, and the career change brought him more fulfillment than his previous high-paying job ever did. The greatest gift of all might be the self-knowledge that comes through facing challenges. When everything's stripped away, when you're tested to your limits, you discover who you really are. This kind of self-knowledge becomes a foundation for all future success. The strongest steel isn't created by gentle warmth. It requires intense heat and constant hammering. Your mental strength grows the same way, through daily actions and consistent habits. When hard times hit, it's not enough to simply endure. You must take specific, purposeful steps to grow stronger through the challenge. First, understand that your daily routine becomes your life's foundation. Start each morning with purpose. The moment you open your eyes, resist the urge to check your phone or dwell on your problems. Instead, take 3 deep breaths and set your intention for the day. This small habit builds mental strength before your feet even touch the floor. I know a businessman who lost his biggest client representing 60% of his revenue. Instead of panicking, he created a simple but powerful daily system. Every morning, he wrote down 3 specific actions he could take to rebuild, not grand plans or wishes, just 3 concrete steps. Some days it was as simple as making 5 phone calls or sending 10 emails. Small actions, consistently taken, created massive results over time. Your mind needs exercise just like your body. Build a daily practice of tackling small challenges head-on. Perhaps it's solving a complex puzzle, learning 10 new words, or mastering a new skill. These aren't just activities. They're mental workouts that build your problem-solving muscles. Time management becomes crucial during difficult periods. Break your day into focused 90-minute blocks. Work intensely during these periods, then take short breaks. This rhythm matches your brain's natural cycle and helps maintain peak performance even under pressure. Don't try to work harder, work smarter. Create a non-negotiable morning routine. It might include exercise, reading, meditation, or planning activities that center you and prepare your mind for the day's challenges. This routine becomes your anchor when everything else feels uncertain. It's not about the specific activities. It's about taking control of your day from the start. Physical movement is essential for mental clarity. Even a 15-minute walk can reset your mind and boost your resilience. Make movement a daily priority, especially on days when you least feel like it. The physical act of moving forward creates momentum that carries into other areas of your life. Develop the habit of asking better questions. Instead of, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What can I learn from this?" Instead of, "How long will this last?" ask, "How can I use this time to grow stronger?" Your questions shape your focus, and your focus determines your actions. Build connections during difficult times. Share your challenges with others who are working to improve themselves. Find a mentor who's overcome similar obstacles. Create accountability partnerships. Remember, steel sharpens steel. Your relationships should make you stronger, not drain your energy. Track your progress daily, no matter how small. Keep a simple journal of your actions and small wins. During hard times, it's easy to lose sight of your progress. Writing it down proves to yourself that you're moving forward even when it doesn't feel like it. Learn to distinguish between productive and unproductive suffering. Productive suffering comes from taking actions that stretch your capabilities. Unproductive suffering comes from dwelling on things you can't control. Focus your energy on what you can influence right now, in this moment. Create evening rituals that help you maintain perspective. Review your day's achievements, plan for tomorrow, and acknowledge your progress. This helps you maintain momentum and prevents you from losing sight of your long-term goals during short-term challenges. Practice emotional regulation through simple techniques. When you feel overwhelmed, use the 5-4-3-2-1 method. Identify 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. This grounds you in the present moment and prevents emotional spiraling. Turn off the noise. Limit exposure to negative news and complainers. Guard your mental space like a fortress. What you allow into your mind shapes your thoughts, and your thoughts shape your actions. Be selective about your mental diet during challenging times. Maintain forward momentum through the 2-minute rule. If something takes less than 2 minutes, do it immediately. This prevents small tasks from piling up and creating additional stress. It also builds a habit of immediate action rather than procrastination. Create weekly review sessions to adjust your approach. Every Sunday, examine what worked and what didn't. Be honest with yourself, but not harsh. Use this information to refine your strategy for the coming week. Small adjustments consistently applied lead to significant improvements. Remember that persistence isn't about never falling. It's about getting up one more time than you fall. Make this your daily mantra. When obstacles appear, remind yourself that they're not walls, they're hurdles. You don't stop at a hurdle, you gather yourself and jump. Train yourself to see obstacles as challenges rather than threats. This isn't just positive thinking, it's a practical shift that changes how your brain processes difficulties. When you view something as a challenge, your mind looks for solutions. When you view it as a threat, it looks for escape. These aren't just ideas, they're tools. Use them daily. Practice them consistently. Your strength will grow not from knowing these principles, but from living them every single day, especially on the days when you don't feel like it. That's when they matter most. Hard times strip away the non-essential and show us what we're truly made of. They force us to question our assumptions, challenge our limitations, and discover resources within ourselves we never knew existed. Think about it. When everything is easy, we coast along using only a fraction of our potential. But when challenges arise, we're forced to dig deeper, think harder, and become more resourceful. The human spirit has an extraordinary capacity for growth under pressure. History shows us that the most innovative solutions, the most profound insights, and the most remarkable achievements often emerge during the most challenging times. This isn't coincidence, it's cause and effect. Consider the Great Depression, a time of unprecedented hardship. Yet from those difficult years emerged some of the most remarkable innovations in businesses. People learned to repair rather than replace, to create rather than consume, to adapt rather than give up. Those lessons in resourcefulness and resilience shaped an entire generation. Every obstacle in your path serves a purpose. It's teaching you patience, building your resilience, developing your problem-solving abilities, and strengthening your character. These aren't just pleasant thoughts, they're practical truths that successful people throughout history have understood and applied. The countless inventors who faced repeated failures. Each no refined their approach. Each setback taught them something valuable. Thomas Edison's thousands of unsuccessful attempts at the light bulb weren't failures, they were essential steps towards success. He understood that each attempt revealed one more way that didn't work, bringing him closer to the way that would. Your current challenges are like chapters in a book. When you're in the middle of a difficult chapter, it can feel like the whole story. But just as every book has multiple chapters, every life has multiple phases. This difficult period isn't your whole story, it's just the chapter you're currently writing. History teaches us about human resilience. During World War II, cities were rebuilt from rubble. After natural disasters, communities have come together to create something even stronger than before. These weren't just physical reconstructions. They were demonstrations of the human spirit's ability to transform adversity into advancement. Look at nature's lessons about perspective. The forest fire that seems devastating actually clears the way for new growth. The winter that appears harsh is essential for certain seeds to germinate. What looks like destruction from one perspective is often preparation for new growth from another. Your mind has an incredible ability to adapt its perspective. The same situation can be viewed as a crisis or an opportunity. The difference isn't in the situation, it's in how you choose to see it. This isn't about positive thinking, it's about practical thinking that leads to effective action. Consider how many of life's greatest opportunities come disguised as problems. The business setback that forces you to innovate. The relationship challenge that helps you grow emotionally. The health issue that leads to better lifestyle choices. These situations aren't just problems to solve, they're opportunities to evolve. When you study history's great achievements, you'll find they often came from people who faced seemingly insurmountable odds. They succeeded not despite their challenges, but because their challenges forced them to think differently, work harder, and discover new approaches. Time provides perspective. Things that seemed like disasters 5 years ago may have led to better situations today. The job loss that led to a better career. The failed relationship that made room for a healthier one. The business failure that taught invaluable lessons for future success. Understanding the temporary nature of hardship doesn't make it easier in the moment, but it does give you strength to persist. Like a sailor in a storm, you don't have to see the whole journey. You just need to keep navigating through the current challenge. Your perspective shapes your experience more than the actual circumstances. Two people can face the same challenge and experience it entirely differently based on their perspective. One sees a dead end. Another sees a detour to something better. One sees a crisis. Another sees a catalyst for change. Remember that every skill you now take for granted was once a challenge you had to overcome. Walking, reading, writing, these were all once difficult challenges. Your current obstacles will someday be abilities you've mastered, stories you tell, wisdom you share. Looking back through human history, we see that periods of greatest difficulty often preceded periods of greatest progress. The challenges you face today might be preparing you for opportunities you can't yet imagine. Your current situation is like a single frame in a much longer movie. You can't judge the whole story by this one scene. Keep moving forward, knowing that this challenging scene is building towards something meaningful in your larger story. This perspective, seeing challenges as temporary and purposeful rather than permanent and pointless, isn't just optimism. It's a practical tool that helps you maintain your strength and focus during difficult times. It's the lens through which every successful person has viewed their challenges. Stand strong in your challenges. Your mind is like a garden, and hard times are like seasons. Just as a garden needs both sunshine and rain to grow, your mind needs both ease and challenges to develop fully. The rain might seem unpleasant, but without it, nothing grows. Your response to hard times shapes your future more than the hard times themselves. Two people can face the same challenge and come out entirely differently. One bitter, one better. The difference lies not in the challenge, but in the response to it. This isn't about fate or luck. It's about the conscious choices you make every single day. Take responsibility for your growth. Nobody can build your mental strength for you. Just as no one can exercise for you to build physical strength, no one can face your challenges for you to build mental strength. Every time you choose to face a difficulty rather than avoid it, you're building inner power that will serve you for life. The strength you're developing now will serve you for the rest of your life. These challenges are temporary, but the character they're building is permanent. The difficulties will pass, but the strength will remain. Think about that. Every challenge you face today is an investment in your future capabilities. Your mind has incredible adaptive capabilities. Every time you face a problem and work through it, you're literally rewiring your brain to be stronger. Each challenge you overcome is like a mental workout, building your psychological muscles for future tests. This isn't theory, it's how your brain actually works. Remember the law of the harvest? You reap what you sow. If you sow excuses, you'll reap weakness. If you sow responsibility, you'll reap strength. Every time you face a challenge, you have a choice. You can look for excuses or look for solutions. The choice you make shapes who you become. The strongest trees are those that face the strongest winds. Their struggle against the elements forces them to develop deeper roots and stronger branches. Your challenges serve the same purpose. They're forcing you to develop deeper resources and stronger capabilities. This isn't just happening to you, it's happening for you. Build your character intentionally. Character isn't formed in moments of comfort. It's forged in moments of challenge. Every time you choose integrity when it's difficult, every time you persist when you want to quit, every time you maintain your standards under pressure, you're building character that will last a lifetime. Heck, your struggles are not your identity. They're your training ground. They're not there to define you. They're there to develop you. Every obstacle you overcome makes you better equipped for future challenges. This isn't about becoming hardened, it's about becoming stronger. Take pride in your struggles. They're evidence that you're taking on real challenges, that you're pushing your boundaries, that you're growing. A life without challenges might be comfortable, but it would also be stagnant. Your willingness to face difficulties head-on is what sets you apart. The quality of your life isn't determined by the absence of problems, but by your ability to deal with them. And that ability only grows stronger through practice, through facing and overcoming real challenges. Each difficulty you face today is making you better equipped to handle whatever tomorrow brings. Your future self will thank you for the strength you're developing today. Every challenge you overcome is an investment in your future capabilities. Every hardship you face with courage is developing character that will serve you for years to come. Think about that. You're not just solving today's problems, you're building tomorrow's strength. Remember, the same pressure that creates diamonds can crush coal. The difference isn't in the pressure, it's in the material's response to it. Your response to pressure determines whether it breaks you or transforms you into something more valuable. Choose transformation. Choose growth. Choose strength. The path ahead won't be easy, but that's precisely why it's valuable. Easy paths don't make strong people. It's the challenging paths that force us to develop strength, wisdom, and character. Don't wish for an easier path. Build the strength to handle the path before you. Your mind, like steel, is forged in fire. Every challenge you face, every obstacle you overcome, every difficulty you push through is part of your forging process. You're not just enduring these challenges, you're being transformed by them into something stronger, more resilient, more capable. The strength of your character shows itself not in times of ease, but in times of challenge. Anyone can appear strong when everything is going well. True strength reveals itself when things are difficult. Your current challenges are your opportunity to demonstrate and develop real strength. Stand firm in your challenges. Face them with courage. Learn from them with wisdom. Grow through them with determination. This isn't just about surviving difficult times. It's about using them to become the strongest version of yourself. Life's greatest achievements often come disguised as its greatest challenges. The key is to recognize that these challenges aren't stopping you. They're preparing you. They're not in your way. They're on your way to becoming who you're meant to be.